Thank you for joining us once again on My First Election. I'm Aaron Jordan. I am here right now with Dr. Matt Grossmann. He is a political science professor here at Michigan State University, and he is also our My First Election political expert. Dr. Grossmann, thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be with you.
So I wonder, did Barack Obama or Mitt Romney come into to this election day with the advantage?
Obama came in a stronger advantage with the polls that we're seeing coming out of Ohio, Virginia, Colorado, and New Hampshire and Iowa. Essentially, all of them would have to be off systematically by a few percentage points in order for Romney to come out the victor tonight.
On Facebook, there's an option to say whether you have voted or not. I wonder, will this have any effect on voter turnout tonight?
Believe it or not, we do have experimental evidence that it will have an effect. This same feature was promoted in 2010, and the people were randomly assigned to either receive it or not receive it. And so we have evidence from the people who did receive it. We then went and checked to see did they actually turn out to vote, not just did they report turning out to vote. And there was a substantial increase in voting, accounting for 200,000 or so votes, according to the authors. So if it works again in this election, we would see a substantial increase.
That's incredible, the power of social media that we have now. How do you think first-time voters will affect the outcome of the election?
I think it's will make a big difference in this election. We saw in 2008 a larger turnout among young people than usual and an outsized performance for the Democratic candidate. If that is repeated, then Obama would almost certainly win re-election. Polls right now are anticipating a decline in turnout and a decline in Democratic support among young voters, but the margins matter. It matters, does Obama lose a lot of support or just a little support? And do a lot fewer young people turn out or almost the same?
You just mentioned the fewer younger voters in terms of the polls are expecting them to turn out. Why do you think that is?
Well, traditionally, the youngest portion of the population has always been the least likely to vote. Since 18-year-olds were allowed to vote in the early 70s, we've seen that trend. And 2008 was an outlier in the high proportion of young voters who turned out to vote. It still was lower than other age groups, but it was higher than we usually expect. So we would expect some reversion to the normal patterns among young people in this election compared to 2008.
How informed do you believe that first-time voters are when it comes down to voting on the proposals that are on the ballot?
Generally, young people are paying less attention to the news, especially state and local news media that would enable them to learn more about those ballot proposals. And so they're going to know less on average than people who've been voting over a longer period and pay more attention to news coverage of those proposals.
How will last-minute deciders affect the outcome of the election?
Well, on the proposals, we expect people who haven't made up their minds going into the voting booth to vote no on most proposals. So if an initiative is ahead 45 to 40 or something going into the polls, that's actually not good for the initiative. It generally means that it's going down because those people who haven't ever seen it and just show up and read it are more likely to vote no than yes.
Obviously, we know all of the devastation with Superstorm Sandy and all of that on the East Coast. How will this affect the outcome of the election, if it does?
Well, it's hard to say. We've never had this big of a natural disaster right before a national election. One potential effect is, could it depress turnout in the areas affected by the storm? That might matter to the national popular vote. It doesn't seem that any of those are in an area where there's a closely contested presidential vote or Senate election, so it may not matter in the end. But there's that effect on turnout. And then the second effect is there anyone who either votes for Obama in part because they feel better about his response to the storm, or is there anyone who votes against Obama just because things seem to be going a little bit more badly for them as they were affected by a natural disaster? There's some precedent for each one of those things, but I don't expect either to be a major difference in the election.
Do you think this will delay us finding out the results of the election, and if so, how long?
Well, there will always be some elections where you have to wait for the certified results at the very end, so there'll probably be more of those in New Jersey and New York. But in terms of the national important contests, unlikely to make a major difference. The bigger capacity for delay is if we see a razor-thin margin in a tipping point state in the presidential election like Ohio, then if they then have to count the provisional ballots, that could take at least 2 weeks to even, so 12 days to even start the process, and then at least 2 weeks for us to find out. So you could see delays, but unlikely in response to the storm.
Dr. Grossman, thank you very much for your insight. Dr. Matt Grossman joining me here. For more election coverage, you can stay tuned to our website. For now, I'm Aaron Jordan. We'll see you at the next cut-in.